Welcome, everyone, to Influential Leadership Tips. I'm John Hadley.
And I'm Dave Miller. John, question. What do you do when an employee that works for you comes to you and asks for a raise, but their performance in no way justifies them having a raise?
Wow, that's a very awkward management situation. Yeah, it's very delicate because I don't want to crush this person, but I don't want to mislead them either. I don't want to turn this into a disgruntled employee who is believing they should get more than they deserve.
Right, and I'm going to make the example a little more narrow here, in that I'm going to assume that you as the leader have done a good job giving this person feedback. So in essence, they should know that their performance, it doesn't justify a raise.
Oh, that's
They've
interesting.
done a good job, but yet they're not getting it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I have a client actually that I'm working with on this. They have had this situation, and they had an employee who's young, in his mid-20s, and is about to get married. And so I think that might be what's justifying the ask.
Mm-hmm.
And this employee, unfortunately, his performance, he's got a lot of potential, but a couple things that he does. He takes long breaks at lunchtime, like an hour and a half, 2 hours. So he doesn't really work a full day. And another thing that maybe is even more visible is that he's on his phone a lot.
Mm.
And it's been noticed by senior people in the company. Like there's been a town hall, for example, where he's on his phone. Okay. And, the person leading the town hall noticed it and gave the feedback. So, and the feedback's been given back to this person, and they've responded, for a short time, and then gets back into the old habits. So at any rate, how do you approach this? Because like you say, you don't want to crush the person, but it's almost time for what I call the wake-up call conversation, or we could call it a reality check.
Yeah, it's if you handle it the right way, this could be a real opportunity to change, to be a game changer for this person, because you got someone who, for whatever reason, they really want something. They want this increase enough to ask for it. So maybe you can somehow turn that into a motivational thing.
Right. That would be the goal. And look, I believe the truth sets people free, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here's how I coached him, and I'm not saying this is the only way to approach it, but what I said is start out with this. Have the person make a case for their raise.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I want to eliminate the entitlement approach, so if there is no backup for wanting a raise, like I just think I should have one because I've worked here for a couple years or whatever, that's not going to be good enough, right? They have to justify. And I even said, you could make a case, look, I've gotten, as you know, a lot of feedback about you being on your phone and things like that. I better have a good story if I'm going to go in and ask for a raise for you.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of puts them in a position where they have to really think logically and make their case about it and think about their performance.
Yeah.
So you might have some discussion there. You might get somewhere. But another thing you could do, too, at that point is saying, well, look, you don't really have a strong case now, but I want to help you. I'm in your corner. I support you. I want you to succeed here. I think you got a lot of potential. I think the next piece is you got to ask him, is he willing to do what it takes to change?
Mm-hmm.
So let's see how committed he is. And again, you can get into some of the things you mentioned about what are your goals for your career? What do you really want? Why do you want those goals? Find out what the motivation switch is for him to get really hungry, right?
Mm-hmm.
then the next part is maybe the hardest but most important, which is assuming he says yes, he's willing to change, which probably will. Might want to know what he has to change first, but that's where you're going next.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be very clear, very honest, and very specific about what needs to change.
Absolutely.
You know, you want to show him examples of, you can even use other people that are performing better. You know, he was using himself, by the way, to do this. And I said, I'm not necessarily a fan of that because you're on a totally different level than him. You're his boss. There's probably some peers of his, and there are, that are operating better. So you could use them as examples. You've got to be a little careful of that because you don't want internal competition.
Mm-hmm.
But the key is to be clear about what are the standards, what are the performance standards that would bring him into the conversation of having a raise, because right now he's not in the conversation.
Right.
Thoughts?
Yep. And I like what you said about the peers or others at that level, whether they're actual current peers or not, because that brings it more, makes it more relatable.
Right. That's right. So, you know, my homework for you, and I don't know if you're in that situation out there, but if you have someone that you've worked with, they're just not getting it, maybe you've been soft pedaling the message too much. Maybe you need to be brass tacks, be kind about it, but be honest about, no, this is what you need to do. You need to never bring your phone out during a meeting when someone else is talking. You need to be a participant in that meeting, an active participant, whatever the standard is,
Mm-hmm.
so that they're clear. They clearly know it's measurable. It's a KPI that brings some objectivity to the discussion, because up to now it's really mushy and really subjective, and it's your opinion versus mine.
Right. Makes sense.
So think about that. If you have that situation, think about having that wake-up call discussion, that conversation. Even if they haven't come to you yet, that might be something that person needs. That might be the tough love they need to get to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see you next week for our next tip.
Great tip. And be influential.